Hello, I'm Couch Goop, and we're going to be looking at Nobody Saves the World, a game I've reviewed briefly before, one of my favourite indie releases of this year, and I was heartbroken to see that it wasn't a couch co-op, and all that has changed with an update. Holy local co-op heaven. That was the only thing that was kind of missing, was this is a great ARPG, really hectic, and it just felt like it needed another player. It was always online, but now we've got that local co-op. One thing I want to point out, and when I first fired it up, it was just, oh my god, is the other person attack on? Have they only got access to the base level character? No, you have to go into the single player's roster and then select a character and you then get the chance to switch to it. All of the switching is done on the fly in this game. It's very cool, think Children of Mortar, but no committed locked character from the start and a roster of 60 plus amazing little characters to play. Because I've never tried the online, I've never seen how cool some of the characters interlock with each other, with range and melee combining, and big tanky characters who can take damage, and short range characters, fast ones, a horse that kicks out the back, a rat with rabies. There's so much going on to love, and it all works flawlessly on a couch co-op level. It's another thing I wanted to test. How are the mechanics? Do they change? Are they lopsided? But everything is really awesome, and there's no major performance issues to report either on stuff getting hugely busy. It is an action RPG that's billed as a dungeon crawler with an overtop sort of map that allows you to go to different castles and creep down into all manner of different environments that are inhabited by really cool enemies. It isn't a roguelike, and I like the idea of it having some campaign structure. This is very exciting stuff because it's probably the strongest of the ARPG indie games that have come out this year. Now this couch co-op's been implemented, it's got nothing holding it back. So much depth has been put into these unlockable characters that getting their new moves and finding new ones and just getting your roster bigger is such a pull. It's a really cool idea. Very different from the Guacamelee setup, but that was another thing that made me think this is going to have to be on a local co-op level at some point. I can't believe it's come this soon. I have the co-op company to thank for that announcement. I will put link in descriptions. Back to why I find this game so cool on a couch co-op level is the fact that it's very snappy with its controls. It has an idea of elemental effects and area effects on the different characters that you're playing as. So the range does really work well against someone with melee, and the jumps that you make when you unlock a character's different move can completely change the offset of how the game pans out for you. Diablo 3 did a good job with that, was sort of changing your hotkeys so massively that your entire character has a different move set when it comes to late game. This is all happening with a real-time character swap mechanic, so you can imagine the choices that go through your brain when you're coming up to a boss, or if you both want to flip out to a different or even the same character with just a slightly different build on each. Loads of potential here. Has some pretty meaty end of dungeon bosses as well. Kind of think Archville. It's got that setup with not procedural, but you do have to feel around with the map. You are kind of kept in the dark with that sort of fog of war system going on, and some levels are multi-tiered and you find yourself going proper deep sometimes. Death is actually handled pretty well with a 5-second respawn mechanic. So if both of you are dead at the same time, it's game over, but you can do that swap in, swap out thing where you're like, I'm still alive, I'm still alive. The other person can get in time, the other person can just die, and you can get through hard stuff like that. But it's again, if stuff really does hit the fan and you both go, you're kicked out to the beginning of that dungeon. There are teleport stones to help alleviate that pain, but at the same time, I love that sort of danger of getting that setback. So back to the character management and the leveling system. So the other player doesn't really have a profile. It's not like you have to be signed in or anything. It will work on a sterile guest system, and that means that you will be developing player one's characters, which is kind of exactly what Children of Mortar does, and I like that idea that you can get them to play someone that might be a bit weaker that you want to develop, or you have like favourites, but they will just dip into what you've got unlocked and then use them, and that using gives that particular character its own leveling. Is there anything wrong with the couch co-op version of this game? It's a massive no. Absolutely awesome. And I had fears of, you might know Inquisitor Martyr, which is boasts couch co-op, but the other player just basically is a weird tack on that doesn't contribute to any development with player one's XP, and just is, you have to choose from these weird pre-made classes. It's horrible. This is a full-blown proper insertion of couch co-op. Couch co-op. And it kind of is an adventure game through and through now, because it will throw these randomized attacks when you're traversing the map, just maybe going from dungeon to dungeon. It would just be like, look out, and these will scale. The enemy spawns are very different, and so you are dealing with things even in the downtime. You might be making your way back to the village or the traders, and it will all just kick off. It keeps you on your toes in a way that a roguelike almost would. Some scenes, not really the ones that are busy with combat, but maybe something's happening, like you're loading into a different level, or maybe a character dies or something, but you might see some judder on frame. It's barely ever happened to me, and it's probably just some background load, because when everything is very busy, and this game is promoting that, it's basically, if it was on the shelf and you turned it over and look at the screenshots on the back, there would just be monsters all over the screen and the two tiny little characters fighting them in the middle. It wants it to be crazy busy, and I think that starts to do with other things. Could even be my PC having a nightmare. Yes, I did say PC. I do have this on Game Pass. We got it day one, so it was a no-brainer to just download immediately, and that patch kicked in. I don't even think I was notified of it. I would have shouted and screamed about this mode a hell of a lot more, considering how good it is. But the PC thing also means we have those frame rates up in the top corner, and they are pegged 60, 59 on a bad day, and that's why that frame stuff is just a bit baffling. Could just be teething. Put in the comments if you've had any performance issues with it, because when it counts, it totally delivers. So, I've been Couch Coop. I'll see you down there.